bound beneath the twin suns. The suns had just started to rise over the dry farmland of planet Velros 3. Twin circles of burning orange light cut across the sky, making the wheat fields glow gold. Farmer Jarek wiped sweat from his forehead, even though the day had barely begun. He climbed into his old harvester, the engine rumbling low. It was a simple machine, half metal, half welded parts from old wars. Jarek didn't care for fancy tools. All he needed was food, in the soil and peace, in his fields. But today, something was wrong. As he rolled the machine forward, something moved in the distance. Not an animal, not a broken machine. Something small. Still, but not dead. He slowed down. Then he stopped. The wind carried a faint sound, a cry, weak, struggling. Jarek climbed down, boots crunching on dry stalks. He moved carefully, one hand, resting on the laser spanner at his belt. Sometimes wild beasts got stuck in the fields, sometimes thieves. But this was different. Then he saw her, a girl, an alien girl. She lay on her side, tied with thick rope, arms and legs pulled tight. Her skin was pale lavender, bruised in places. Her long silver hair was tangled with wheat and dirt. Her eyes, bright, violet and wide, stared at him full of fear, and she was right in front of the harvester's blades. Another few seconds, another few feet. She would have been torn apart. Jarek froze. The girl opened her mouth. Her voice cracked. Please, don't let it eat me. He didn't ask questions. He pulled out his knife and cut the ropes. Her body was limp but breathing. He scooped her up. She was light like carrying dry wood. Her skin felt cold even under the burning suns. He brought her back to his farmhouse and laid her on the old couch. It creaked under her, but she didn't move. Jarek brought water. Drink, he said softly. The girl blinked slowly. Then she drank. Only after she stopped shaking did he ask, "Who did this?" She didn't answer at first. Her lips trembled. She looked around the small room, dusty, quiet, filled with tools and faded pictures of Jarek's family long gone. Then finally, in a soft whisper, "My family." Jarek narrowed his eyes. "Your family tied you up and left you in the fields?" She nodded, then curled into herself like a frightened animal. "They said, I bring bad luck, that I'm cursed. They needed to stop the machines from failing, from breaking. So, they offered me." Jarek didn't speak. He sat down, rubbing his chin. He'd heard rumors before, about the outer colonies and their old alien traditions. But sacrificing children to machines? Do they know you're still alive? The girl looked at him terrified. "No, please don't tell them. They said I must disappear. If I come back, they will finish it." Jarek stood up, walked to the window. The suns were higher now. The light hit the fields. The same field where she would have died. "What's your name?" he asked. "Vele," she said. "Vele," he repeated quietly. "Well, you're safe here for now." She stared at him, confused. "Why? Are you helping me?" He looked at her. "Because I saw someone in trouble. That's enough." No one had ever said that to her before. That night, Jarek gave her a blanket and a cot in the storage room. It wasn't much, but it was more than what she had before. She fell asleep fast, but her face stayed tense, like she expected to wake, up in pain. Jarek stayed up late watching the stars from the porch. His mind raced with questions. Why would anyone throw away their own child? What kind of curse could make a family so cruel? And most of all, would they come looking for her? Because if they did, they wouldn't like what they found. Vele woke with a start. Her breath came in short gasps like she'd been running in her sleep. For a moment she didn't remember where she was. The smell of old wood and oil. A small room. A blanket that wasn't torn. No ropes. No yelling. No pain. Then it came back to her. Jarek, the human farmer, had saved her. She sat up slowly, her body sore, her wrists bruised where the ropes had cut her. Sunlight filtered through the cracks in the wooden wall. She listened for voices, for her family's angry footsteps, but there was only silence. Then she smelled something strange, warm, smoky, and nice. She crept out of the room and followed the smell to the kitchen, where Jarek stood over a pan. He glanced at her without a word and pointed to a chair. "Sit. You need food." She sat unsure, her body stiff. Jarek slid a plate in front of her, eggs, toast, real food. Vele hesitated, then picked up the toast and bit into it. Her eyes widened. It was simple, but she had never tasted anything like it. On her homeworld, meals were cold and bitter, given without care, if given at all. Here, in this quiet place, someone had made food just for her. "Why?" she asked suddenly, her voice still shaky. "Why are you doing this? You don't know me." Jarek leaned back in his chair and folded his arms. "Don't need to know you to know what's right." She looked down at the food. "But I'm broken, useless." That's what they said. They were wrong, he said without hesitation. Vele's hands trembled. "My family. They never wanted me. I was born during a solar flare and the crops failed that year. They said I brought misfortune. When I got sick as a child, our animals died too. They said I had death inside me." Jarek didn't interrupt. He let her speak. "I tried to be quiet to stay out of sight, but when things went bad again, they blamed me. This time they said the harvester god needed a gift." Her voice broke. "They said it had to be me." Jarek clenched his jaw. His hands tightened into fists. He had seen cruelty in the war, but this was different. Cold. Calculated. Family turning against blood. "Do you believe them?" he asked. She shook her head. "I don't know. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I think, maybe I am cursed. Maybe anyone near me gets hurt." Jarek stood and opened the door. Outside, the crops swayed gently in the breeze, green and full. "Then explain that," he said. "I found you yesterday. Today my field looks better than it has in months." Vele frowned. "That can't be me. Maybe not, but I don't believe in curses, I believe in choice. And you've got one now. Stay, heal, or run and keep believing you're nothing." She looked at the field, then at him. No one had ever offered her a choice before. That afternoon, Jarek put her to work. Not hard labor, just simple things. Watering the side garden, cleaning old tools. Vele moved slowly, but her hands didn't shake as much. She was quiet, but her eyes stayed open and alert. And when she touched the plants, something strange happened. The soil beneath her fingertips seemed to shift like it breathed. Leaves turned toward her hand as if drawn to her. Jarek noticed. He didn't say anything, not yet, but he watched. That evening, they sat on the porch, the sun melting behind the hills. Vele broke the silence. "I've never felt safe before," she said softly. "You're safe now," Jarek replied, "but that might not last. If your people come looking," Vele nodded, "they won't stop. They'll say I escaped fate." "You're not their property," Jarek said. "You're not a thing. You're a person." She turned her head, her silver hair catching the last light of the sun. "Then why do I feel like I don't belong anywhere?" Jarek looked at her, his voice calm but strong. "Maybe you don't belong where you were born. That doesn't mean you don't belong." At all, Vele didn't answer, but for the first time her eyes didn't look afraid. Later that night, as the stars came out, Vele stood alone in the field. She touched a flower gently. It opened under her hand, glowing faintly blue. Her breath caught. Maybe she wasn't cursed. Maybe she was something else entirely, and maybe, just maybe, someone wanted her after all. The night was quiet, too quiet. Even the insects in the tall wheat fields had gone still. The wind had stopped. The stars hung low and sharp above the farmhouse, and the twin moons cast long shadows across the land. Vele couldn't sleep. She lay curled under the blanket in the small storeroom, eyes open, listening. Every creak of wood or rustle outside made her heart skip. Her breath stayed shallow, like she was afraid to take up too much space in this new life. Then she heard it. A crunch. Footsteps. Not heavy like Jarek's, but soft and slow. Careful. She sat up quickly, every muscle tight. Another sound. Metal, clicking. Then a hushed voice. Not one, but two, maybe three. Vele's blood turned cold. They had come. She didn't scream. Instead, she slipped off the cot and crept to the corner where Jarek had stacked empty crates. She crouched behind them, heart pounding. A shadow passed by the small window, then another. The front porch creaked. The door handle turned. Click. The door opened. Jarek was already awake. He had felt something strange in the air. He sat at the table, fully dressed, one hand resting under the surface where his old pulse rifle waited. The door creaked open and three figures entered, wearing dark coats. Their faces were rough, eyes narrow, skin the same lavender shade as Vele's. Her people. The tallest one stepped forward. "We're looking for something," he said, in a voice like gravel. Jarek didn't move. "Middle of the night ain't a friendly time to visit." "She belongs to us," the second one said sharply. "A young female escaped from a sacred offering. We have the right to take her back." Jarek's jaw clenched. He kept his voice calm. "Don't know what you're talking about. She was seen near this property," the first one insisted. "Our scanners trace her biosignature here." Jarek's fingers curled tighter around the rifle grip under the table. "You got papers? Any law saying you can take someone from my home?" "We don't answer to your human laws," the third one spat. "She's one of us. You're hiding her." Vele, still hiding in the storage room, could barely breathe. The sound of her own heartbeat was deafening in her ears. She looked around for something, anything to protect herself, but her hands were empty. She was powerless. The first alien stepped closer to Jarek. "She is cursed. If you keep her here, your land will rot. Your animals will die. She'll bring ruin." Jarek's calm voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Funny thing," he said. "Since she came, my crops got greener. My soil's alive again. You call that ruin?" The tallest alien's lip curled. "You don't understand what she is." "No," Jarek said. "But I know what you are. Cowards. You tried to murder a girl, your own blood, to fix your bad harvest. And now that she lived, you want her back to finish the job." The third alien reached for his side, pulling out a thin blade. "Then we take her by force." Jarek stood slowly. His rifle was already pointed when they realized. "You can try," he said. "But you better be ready to die here." The room went silent. The aliens didn't move. The one with the blade froze, eyes wide. Jarek didn't blink. His finger rested on the trigger, calm and ready. The two smaller ones exchanged glances. Then the leader sneered. "This isn't over." "I know," Jarek said. They backed out slowly, vanishing into the dark like shadows swallowed by the night. The front door creaked shut behind them. Only then did Jarek lower the rifle. He walked to the storeroom and knocked gently. "You can come out." Vele stepped out, shaking. Her eyes were wet with fear. "They'll come back." "I know," he said again. "But next time I won't let them walk away." She looked at him with trembling lips. "You could have given me to them. Lied. Let them take me. Why didn't you?" He didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Because you're under my roof. And under my roof nobody gets thrown away." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'm not strong," she whispered. "You don't have to be," Jarek replied. "I'll be strong enough for both of us." Outside, the wind started again, whispering through the fields like a warning. But inside, a small warmth had grown, flickering, fragile, but real. And Vele, for the first time, didn't feel like running. Days passed, but the memory of the night visitors stayed in the air like smoke after fire. Jarek kept a rifle near the door and double-checked the locks each night. But Vele changed. She no longer flinched at every sound. She moved with quiet purpose. She spent hours in the fields, touching plants gently, speaking to the soil in whispers. Yarrick noticed how every spot she stepped seemed to bloom, how sick vines turned green again, and even dry roots pulsed with new life. He said nothing at first. He didn't want to scare her, but deep down, he knew. This girl was no curse. She was something rare, maybe something sacred. One morning, Yarrick made a decision. He loaded up his old rover and told Vele they were going to town. She hesitated. "Will someone recognize me?" "Not likely," he said. "Humans don't care much for alien gossip. Besides, I want you checked." "Checked?" Jarek gave a half smile. "You make my crops grow by walking past them. I figure someone with a scanner should take a look." Vele stared out the window the whole ride, quiet. She didn't understand what was happening to her either. All she knew was, since she escaped death, her body felt different. Her hands tingled when she touched plants. Sometimes, when she closed her eyes, she could hear the fields breathe. They reached the outpost clinic by midday. The human medic, Dr. Halley, was older and curious but kind. She scanned Vele head to toe with calm professionalism, then her eyebrows lifted. "This girl's blood is strange," Halley said. "Not sick, not damaged, but powerful." Jarek leaned forward. "Powerful how?" Dr. Halley turned the screen. "Look here, these cells. They're producing something I've only seen in ancient data records. It's like biological energy. Healing codes her immune system doesn't just protect, it repairs, accelerates growth, possibly even rewrites damaged DNA." Vele looked confused. "I don't understand." Halley smiled kindly. "Long ago there were rumors of your kind having life binders, beings born once in many generations able to bring back dying worlds. It was said they were hunted for their blood." Jarek's jaw tightened. "You're saying that's her?" Halley nodded slowly. "She might be. Her body doesn't reject anything. It balances everything it touches. She's not a curse. She's a miracle." Vele's eyes filled with tears. "Then why did my family hate me?" Halley's face turned sad. "Because people fear what they don't understand. And when something powerful is born in a weak place, when the weak want to destroy it." Back at the farmhouse that night, Vele sat under the stars, hands buried in the soil. She felt it, deep vibrations, like heartbeats under the ground. As if the land was speaking to her, calling her to stay alive, to keep going. Jarek sat beside her, watching her fingers glow faintly green as she touched the earth. "Dr. Halley called you a life binder," he said. "I think that means you're more than just a girl they wanted to throw away." Vele looked at her hands. "What if they come back for me again? What if they try to take my blood, use me like a tool?" Jarek's voice was quiet but firm. "Then they'll find out what happens when they try to harm someone I protect." Vele looked at him, really looked. The man who had saved her from the blades, who gave her a bed, food, safety, without asking for anything in return. He had no armor, no soldiers. Just strength that came from kindness. She whispered, "I don't want to hide anymore." He nodded. "Then we don't hide." That night as she lay in her bed, Vele dreamt of seeds sprouting from her fingertips. In her dream, trees grew in seconds, flowers opened to her voice, and broken animals stood whole again just by her touch. But then the dream shifted. Dark shapes surrounded her, her family, cloaked in anger, holding knives, their eyes empty. "You belong to us," they chanted. "You are ours." She woke up screaming. Jarek was at her door in seconds, rifle in hand. "Dream?" Vele nodded, sweat on her face. He sat beside her and said nothing, just waited. After a long silence, she whispered, "If they find out what I am, they'll come not just to kill me but to sell me." Jarek clenched his jaw. "Then we'll be ready." Vele reached out and gripped his hand. "I don't want to be a thing, Jarek. I want to live. Like a person." He squeezed her hand back. "You already are." and as the stars shined down on the small farmhouse, the winds carried a new message across the fields, one not of fear, but of awakening. The land knew her, and now, so did he. The sun was low in the sky, casting a golden light across the farm, when the dust trail appeared on the road. Jarek spotted it first from the barn roof. A single ground transport painted dull gray rolled slowly toward the house. His stomach turned. He knew that vehicle didn't belong to any human from the town. He climbed down and walked toward the porch, rifle slung casually over his shoulder. Vele, who had been helping water the garden, looked up, then froze. Her skin went pale. "That's them," she said softly. "My family." Jarek didn't answer right away. He simply nodded and stood by the door, calm as stone. The transport stopped near the gate. 3 aliens stepped out, her father, her uncle, and a new figure. A tall, sharp-faced alien woman dressed in fine robes. She looked like someone important, someone used to getting what she wanted. Vele backed up slowly. "Why is she here?" Jarek gave her a sideways glance. "You know her?" "She's a blood negotiator," Vele whispered. "They only send them when they want to sell something on or someone." The woman stepped forward with a practiced smile. "Farmer Jarek, is it? I represent the House of Drelva. We've come to resolve a family matter." Jarek didn't return the smile. "You mean the family matter where they tied up a child and left her to die?" The father cleared his throat. "That was tradition. A mistake, perhaps. But we are here now to make things right. We'll take the girl and compensate you for your trouble." Vele's voice cut through the air, sharp and trembling. "I'm not going with you." The woman turned, expression cool. "Dear, this is not a request. Your DNA has been verified. You carry rare traits. You're valuable. You can help many worlds with your gifts." Jarek stepped between them. "She's not a resource. She's not for trade. She's a person, and she chooses to stay here." The uncle snorted. "You think a human farmer can claim rights over one of ours? She's property of her house. That's how the laws of our people work." Jarek's voice didn't rise, but it grew colder. "Then your laws are garbage, and on this land she's under my protection." The negotiator's smile faded. "You'll make this difficult, then?" Vele took a step forward, her voice firmer now. "You didn't care about me when I was cursed. You left me to be torn apart. Now you come back because I can heal. You're dying crops because rich people want my blood. You want to own me only because others do." Her father narrowed his eyes. "You are still one of us, Vele. You owe us." She looked him in the eye. "I owe you nothing. You never treated me like family." The negotiator turned to Jarek. "Final offer. We pay you generously. You hand her over. Simple deal. No fighting." Jarek's rifle moved slightly across his shoulder. "You've got 5 seconds to get off my land." The woman's eyes hardened. "You won't always be able to protect her. Sooner or later, someone will come who doesn't knock." Jarek gave a slow nod. "Then I'll stop them too." For a long moment, no one moved. The wind picked up, whispering through the wheat. Then, silently, the group turned back toward the vehicle. The negotiator paused before entering. "This isn't over." "I know," Jarek said. The transport disappeared down the road, leaving only dust in its place. Vele let out a breath she'd been holding. Her legs wobbled and she sat on the porch steps. "I thought they might pretend to care just a little." "They didn't come to take you home," Jarek said quietly. "They came to take what they think you're worth." "I'm just blood to them, a thing." Her voice cracked. "You're not," Jarek said, sitting beside her. "And you never will be, not here." She looked at him, her face filled with something stronger than sadness, resolve. "They'll come back. Next time they won't ask." Jarek nodded. "Then we prepare." That evening they walked the land together. Vele touched the soil and closed her eyes. Green light pulsed under her skin. She wasn't just healing plants. She was bonding with the land, strengthening it, making it hers. The farm had become more than a place to hide. It was her ground now. Her roots were starting to grow, and whatever came next, she would not run again. Not this time. The night air was thick and silent, like the land itself was holding its breath. Jarek sat by the window with his rifle across his lap. Vele was in the garden, kneeling in the dirt with her hands buried in the soil. She didn't speak much anymore. She listened. She could feel the roots, the earth, the quiet pulse of life below the surface. It comforted her more than words ever could. But deep inside, she knew peace never lasted. And tonight, the wind carried the wrong scent. Jarek noticed it first: burnt metal and fuel. He stood quickly and looked toward the hills. A red flicker lit the sky where it should have been dark. His voice cut through the air. Vele, inside, now. She stood and turned, but before she could reach the porch, a roar echoed through the fields. Flames erupted along the northern edge of the wheat, tall, angry tongues of fire climbing toward the stars. They were under attack. A ground skimmer flew low, dragging a flame spitter behind it, setting fire to everything in its path. At least, 4 figures stepped out near the edge of the field, weapons drawn. No words this time, no offers, just destruction. Jarek pulled Vele inside and slammed the door shut. "Go to the cellar." "I can help," she tried to argue. "I said, go." But before she could move, the wall exploded inward. A blast of heat and smoke knocked them both to the floor. Jarek shielded her with his body, coughing hard. Shadows moved through the broken wall. 3 alien attackers, faces covered, rifles. "Ready? There she is," one shouted. "Take her, don't kill her. She's worth more alive." Jarek rolled and fired. One attacker dropped with a scream. Another fired back, barely missing Jarek's leg. Vele scrambled to her feet, eyes glowing faint green now. Her fear was gone. Something stronger had taken its place. She touched the wooden floor and the boards around her shimmered with energy. "Stop," she shouted. The attackers paused, and then the earth answered. The ground beneath the intruders cracked. Roots surged from the soil, wrapping around legs and weapons, dragging them down. One screamed as vines coiled around his throat. The other tried to run but tripped over twisting branches that weren't there seconds ago. Jarek stared in disbelief. "What are you doing?" "I don't know," she said, her voice shaking. "But it's part of me now." She walked out the ruined doorway into the burning field. The fire moved fast, too fast, but she didn't stop. She stepped barefoot into the heat, raised her arms and pressed her hands to the soil. And then, the impossible happened. The fire stopped. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Where her feet touched, the flames died. Where her hands touched, new. Shoots of green pushed up through ash, the air filled with the scent of wet soil and blooming flowers. Jarek followed, still holding his rifle, eyes wide. Vele stood in the center of the field, surrounded by ruin, but untouched herself. Her hair floated slightly as if caught in a wind no one else could feel. Her skin glowed faintly. Behind her, the attackers were bound and unconscious, held down by roots that had turned as strong as metal. When it was over, she collapsed to her knees. Jarek ran to her and caught her before she hit the ground. "You did it," he whispered. "You stopped it." She looked up at him, weak but smiling. "I didn't stop it, we did." They spent the rest of the night putting out the smaller fires. Jarek tied up the attackers and called in help from the town. The humans there had always kept their distance from the strange girl. But tonight they saw something else. They saw a protector, a miracle. By morning, the field that had burned now sprouted with new life, green and gold under the sunrise. It had grown back faster than nature should allow. Vele sat on the porch, a blanket around her shoulders. Jarek brought her tea, his hand bruised but steady. "They won't stop," she said quietly. "They'll keep sending people." He nodded. "Then let them come, you're not alone." She looked out over the fields, hers now in a way deeper than ownership. "I didn't know I had this inside me. I was so sure I was broken." Jarek sat beside her. "You were never broken. You were buried. And now you've grown." She leaned against him, tired but strong. This land, it called to me. I thought I was running from my death, but maybe I was running toward my life. The morning breeze stirred the crops gently as if in agreement, and somewhere deep in the soil, something ancient pulsed in rhythm with her heart. The sun rose slowly over the farm, touching the fields with soft gold, but the farmhouse showed the scars of battle. Its walls were cracked, windows broken, and part of the roof was black from smoke. Yet the land around it flourished. Wheat had returned thicker than ever, the soil darker and full of life. Life had not only survived, it had grown stronger. Vele stood barefoot in the field, the wind playing with her silver hair. Her skin still held a faint glow. Where she stepped, the plants leaned toward her, as if recognizing their guardian. A week had passed since the fire. The town had come not just to help, but to witness the girl they once feared. The tale of the cursed child saving a farm from death had spread like wildfire, this time not to hunt her, but to honor her. Jarek walked up the path carrying a wooden sign freshly carved. He planted it at the edge of the gate and stepped back. On the sign, in large clear letters, it read, "This land is protected by life." Vele smiled softly. People are starting to believe. They should, Jarek said, brushing dirt from his hands. You gave them a miracle. I didn't do it alone, she replied. You gave me a place to grow. The past had not vanished, but it had lost its weight. The fear was still there, quiet, deep, but no longer in control. Vele had chosen to stay, not because she was hiding, but because she had found something stronger than fear. Purpose. Later that afternoon, the outpost authorities arrived in a hover truck. They brought documents, official papers granting Vele the right to remain on the planet as a sentient protector of agricultural lands. Dr. Halley, who had helped identify her rare biology, had argued on her behalf. Now, legally, she couldn't be taken from the land she had healed. She wasn't property. She was a citizen. Jarek read through the forms with his brow furrowed. You're legal now, he said. It's not much, but it's something. It's everything, she said, her voice firm. For the first time, I'm real in the eyes of others. The sheriff, a thick-set man with a stern face, approached with a sealed letter. There's still a bounty on her, he said. Your attackers weren't acting alone. Her family put a price on her head. Vele didn't flinch. I figured. Jarek narrowed his eyes. So we're not finished. No, the sheriff said, but we'll post warnings across the zone. Anyone crosses this land with bad intent will face charges under Galactic law. As the truck rolled away, Vele sat beneath the old tree behind the farmhouse. Her hands rested on the soil, and for a while she simply breathed. Jarek joined her, lowering himself beside her with a tired grunt. You ever think about leaving? He asked. She shook her head. No, this land, it speaks to me. I feel it in my bones. It's more than a place. It's home. He nodded slowly. You're free now. You don't owe me anything. I know, she said, turning to face him. But I want to stay. He smiled, a rare and honest one. Then stay as long as you like. There was a long silence, but it was a good one. Then Vele asked, Why did you do it, Jarek? From the start. Why did you save me? He didn't answer right away. His eyes looked far away past the hills. Because once, a long time ago, someone saved me. I was a soldier, broken and angry. A family gave me shelter. No questions. They believed I was worth saving. I never forgot that. I swore if I ever got the chance, I'd do the same for someone else. She reached out and took his hand, gently. You kept your promise. He looked down at their hands, then at her. Now I'll make you another. She tilted her head, curious. As long as I live, he said. No one will hurt you again. This farm, this land, it's yours as much as mine. You'll always have a place here. Vele didn't cry. She didn't need to. Instead, she leaned her head on his shoulder, and the two sat in silence as the wind danced through the new green wheat. That night, Vele placed her hands on the earth one last time before sleeping. She whispered into the soil, not words, but feelings. Gratitude, hope, love. And the land answered with warmth, pulsing gently beneath her palms. She wasn't just a survivor anymore. She was a protector, not a curse, not a tool, not a thing to be sold or feared. She was Vele, the girl the world tried to throw away, but a farmer's promise brought her back, and now she had roots deeper than any family could cut.